This is a difficult one to cover because people have emotions regarding this topic. If you are one of those people, I'd ask that you put your emotions to the side and attempt to approach this with reason and logic. What is genocide? Well, we have a definition given by different different agencies, and there's different legal definitions out there. And so the subjective, perhaps, nature of the word should make it then that we should err on the side of caution when saying that any entity is performing genocide on any other entity. So, Israel versus Hamas, Hamas versus Israel, both sides have been um, accused of um, doing genocide on the other. Now, of course, Israel's been done in court. The other side hasn't yet been taken to court on the matter. The court apparently ruled a preliminary judgment that to not do genocide and to act to prevent it or what have you. And uh, I don't know if Israel is or isn't listening to what the court said. I have no idea. It's beyond me. I'm not going to get into that sort of politics stuff. I'm going to focus on the word and the question of if logic can resolve this. And the spoiler, of course, is no. It's a natural language problem. Logic, there's nothing we can do. If we had an artificial version of this word, or if we were to make this word more rigorous, then perhaps we could nail down when it has or hasn't been committed. But to do that, you'd have to have a metric, you'd have to have something objective. And then you would need an objective version of what the word is to say, okay, this is that, and this is what we're gonna. This is the metric. And according to the Holocaust Museum website, the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum website, I think that that's a decent enough website to get the information of what a genocide is. Um, they consider it as an internationally recognized crime where acts are committed with the intent to destroy in whole or part a national, ethical, racial, or religious group. And that these acts fall into 5 categories, which are killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, or forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. And then there's other serious violent crimes that don't fall under those definitions that would also be bad, but that's not what we're focused on. So, with this idea in mind, there have been more than one mass shooting of a church. There was a church that had a mass shooting, and it was declared to be racially motivated. And it seems, by all accounts, that it was. The person that did it was a member of the, KKK or some adjacent white national thingy. And but could they be charged with genocide? I mean, after all, they killed a whole bunch of church members. So that's certainly an attempt to destroy everybody that was there. They are a racial group, they are also a religious group. So why not? Why couldn't we charge them with genocide? Is it because they're a single person? Well, this doesn't say that it couldn't be a single person. It doesn't say that a nation has to do it. It doesn't say how many people must be involved either, but it does say group. So that suggests at least 2 people, because a group isn't a single person. Otherwise, couldn't we always then say any murder is genocide? of any single person. So it's got to be a group of people. Well, what's a group of people? There's no coherent answer to that. There's no set standard of what would make what number of people is a group. Is it 2? Is it 5? Is it 10? Is it 1,000? How many people makes a group? Also, of course, there's this intent part. How do you decide what intent is? How do you determine that? You'd have to know the mind of the people involved, or you'd have to have some indication that, some declaration that they've made that this is their goal or something. You'd have to have some evidence of this. You'd have to have some reason to suspect it. You can't just declare that their intent is X, Y, or Z without knowing that. And how do you know that since we can't read minds? You're attempting to do various things to get rid of a people. Okay. So isn't every war that's ever been done genocide in that case? I mean, we're trying to get rid of the enemy. We're trying to get rid of all the enemy, or at least we're trying to get rid of the enemy until they surrender. Isn't that genocide? All the things that have been done in the past, you could label quite easily with genocide. You could say, well, look, what the early settlers did to the Native Americans, that was genocide. They made them move. They made them leave their land. They, they did germ warfare on them. Isn't that? Well, they didn't have an intent to destroy them. Oh, okay. There are many articles of, both sides of this. Israel is not committing genocide by the American Jewish Committee. Of course, they're going to say that. Of course they are. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Then you have, on the other side, you have this. It says charge Palestine with genocide as well. So, okay. So both sides are guilty, perhaps. And then, of course, there's an article that talks about the limits of accusing Israel of genocide, and it's a mess. As a single individual, my words and ideas and thoughts have a minimal impact. Nothing I say on my channel, I'm under no illusion, would have a global effect, one way or the other. No matter who I root for or against, it's not going to matter even a little bit. No matter who I want to win or lose, it's not going to matter. It's not going to affect a thing. If I was to try to send aid to either side, there's no guarantee that that aid would go where it's needed, even if I use a trusted charity, because especially in times of war, corruption abounds. And so, there's no way to know. I don't like that people are killing each other. That I know. I don't like that it's over land and it's over control. It's over, just nonsensical things. It's mostly, because everyone thinks this one spot of land is holy. I think that's ridiculous and silly. I wish we could get along. But a number of people don't want to get along, apparently. And so they continually push for a war, and now they have one. Well, Israel is a bigger foe. They're stronger mightily than poor Hamas and Gaza and whoever's there, and they've killed more people. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Uh, so they're in the wrong because they're bigger and stronger. Okay, I don't know that that makes them in the wrong, but some people say this. I don't know who's in the wrong. Everybody's in the wrong. We could look at it that way. We could look at it in any number of ways. But if we're going to accuse either side of genocide, well, how can we do that if the word is not something that has a logical underlying? um, so we're not saying 1 plus 1 is 2 here, which has a logical underpinning. We're saying X person or X group is doing genocide on Z group. By what metric? Well, it seems like they are. That's not good enough for me. I'm a skeptic. I can't say that either side is doing that when I don't know what it is. When is it this thing? Now, well, the court seems to have indicated it's plausible, but that might take years to get to a final ruling on the matter. And then, of course, I guess you can appeal it like you can. I don't know how that works. So, but that will be a ruling. Does that make it a fact? If they rule that it is genocide, does that settle the matter? Well, in a legal sense, it does. But does that settle the matter on a logical sense? I don't know. But it might get us closer to having a non-subjective metric. Why was it genocide? There's going to be reasons that they have that lead them to conclude that it was that, and we're going to have the arguments and data for that lead to that conclusion. And then we can compare and contrast that to other things and say, well, isn't this genocide here then? And when is this word applied? Because it's an awful big charge to throw at a group of people or a nation. We don't want to just throw this word around willy-nilly and water it down because it's an awfully terrible thing. Perhaps it should be reserved for the most dire of circumstances. What I know is that I don't know. Since logic can't fix it, since logic can't really address it per se, my thought is we must be skeptical about it. That is, maybe it's true, maybe it's false, but I don't think that we should say that either side is committing genocide. Now, maybe you believe that. Well, okay, we have lots of beliefs, and those beliefs are subject to critical investigation. If we say that the belief is true, if you make the claim, you now gain the burden of proof. You don't want that. Not for this topic, because the burden's too heavy. If even the courts are like, hey, look, it's going to take us years to figure it out, I don't think that, what's Joe Schmo going to do, unless you super mega legal expert, or you're going to, oh, I've got the answer. No, I can prove it. I'd like to see that argument. I suspect it would be a long video, but, a long argument and perhaps a dissertation of some sort. But I am seeing what I've seen in other conflicts, which is the group mentality that we humans often have. This side versus that side. I'm choosing this team over that team for whatever reason. I feel like this team is being picked on. That team is bigger than this team, so I'm going to be on the underdog side. Or I'm going to be on the bigger guy's side because, they've been picked on this whole time. They've been picked on before, so they've had enough. They're stomping on the bully until the bully doesn't exist anymore. Well, that sounds like genocide. Yes, it does. So, I mean, maybe. I don't know. But they're tired of it. Oh, fair enough. Okay, you're tired of being attacked. If you get, people poking you and prodding you every day, and, eventually you're going to do something about it. And that something might not be logical, it might be emotional. When I was young, I had a phrase, peace works, use it. And I would say this mantra, hoping that it would catch on. I wanted peace in the world. I believed that peace would somehow come to be. Now that I'm older and somewhat more jaded, I'm not so sure about that. I don't know that peace works. And I don't know that we'll ever have even a year or maybe a month of peace where nobody is trying to kill each other over anything. Would be nice. It's a sad state of affairs. That's the most I can say about it. Doesn't answer the question. Well, what's genocide? That's the topic. What is it? Well, it's when you try to kill all these people to get rid of them. You're trying to get rid of them in some way, shape, or form. That, whether it's religion or because of their race or, why? Well, because they're not part of my tribe. They're not part of my team. So, well, I don't want them here. Why? Because, what? What is it? They're not doing anything to you, right? They're not messing with you. They're not interfering with you. Yeah, but I don't like them. Why? Because they did this thing a long time ago. Okay. Did they do anything to you today? Personally? No. Okay, then what's your problem? I saw a comment made that said that they know the mindset of the people of this group, and I'm not going to say which side that they were on just to make it more ambiguous. It might have been Hamas, it might have been the Jewish people, but they know the mindset of these people because they've been around them and they know what they're up to. There's quite a magical claim that they've made. You know the mindset of all the people? That's amazing. How did you do that? You don't know that. That's bigotry. That is racist or bigoted or something. I don't. It's magical thinking. No, you don't know what an entire group of people are thinking. You don't know the mindset because everybody has a different mindset, whatever group they belong to. And of course, I said, well, if you become that, if you join that group, then do you gain that mindset, or is it that you have that mindset and then you join that group? How does this work? Of course, they're not going to answer that question because they don't have a system. They've just decided that they feel a certain way. All I can do is encourage skepticism, which I think in this case means we don't say that either side is committing genocide, given that genocide is subjective to some degree, and unless we have a clear, coherent metric, then we can't deduce who's doing it. And I don't think that we have a clear, coherent metric. If you have a belief, then that's all it is. If you think you have the data and facts to support it, well, okay, but you're going to have to formulaically explain genocide in such a way that it maps to something objective that can be measured. If it was to say anyone that kills 10 people or more uh, of the same race or religion is committing genocide, that would be a metric, but we don't have that. So if we don't have an objective thing, then how can we say who's doing what to whom? Well, the media says whatever the media will say about it. Sure, I have feelings about it. Can't I say my feel? Is it of any use to say your feelings if knowing that, well, yes, you can say it, no one's stopping you, but it's not going to affect it one way or the other. I'm pro whatever side. That's not going to affect anything, It's like I'm voting for them to win. That's not going to help them win. It's not going to help them lose. It's not going to do anything. Go over there and fight for them then if you really want to do it. I don't know that you could even do that. I don't know if you'd be allowed. How would that work? But I do see a lot of political ideologies at play lately with the idea of the oppressor and oppressed motif. It's like, oh, you've got the big guys versus the little guys. I feel sorry for the little guy. It's like, yeah, well, the little guy's been poking at the big guy with a spear for the past few hundred years. So it's not really a surprise that the big guy finally said, you know what, I've had enough of it. Doesn't make it right. But that's, they've had enough. Well, now what? What's going to happen? I don't know. Eventually, one side or the other will get worn out and tired, and peace will prevail in the end eventually, hopefully, or everybody will be wiped out on one side or the other, or so many people that will be wiped out that fighting is impossible. Something's going to give at some point. And we've got the war of Ukraine and Russia and all these other wars going on and all these other conflicts here, there, and every. It's like, oh my goodness. Why can't we humans just get along? Why do we resolve things with physical fighting rather than intellectual rigor? Why can't we settle the matter in some academic, peaceful way? Play chess or Othello or checkers or something that, where it's like, I don't know, make it a challenge of who can get, something invented faster or something, or race to the moon again. That worked before. Why don't we, challenge the other side to who can get to Mars first contest or whatever. I don't know, but there's got to be something that we can do that's better than this. Why is it that I myself find that when I get angry, punching or kicking or biting, that's the primal urge to go to? It's built in me, I guess. It's built in all of us, and we have to overcome that somehow. How do we do that? Especially if we, it's like, people over there, you have family over there, somebody or somebody that of someone that's been hurt or killed or whatever. And it's going to be all sorts of emotions. I was listening to somebody talk about punishment. And he said that there's this criminal that killed this young kid, and they're still alive, and that they should be put to death. In the olden days, they would have been hanged that very day, perhaps, and that would be it. And they would be punished and that would be justice. I'm like, I understand that. Somebody took a life, so we take their life. Doesn't restore anything, but we've punished them. Okay, can we do? Why is that good? Is it good to do that? It's like, well, we punish our kids. Well, but there's different ways of punishing your kids. Some ways are effective and some ways aren't. Some ways are abusive and others aren't. Are we abusing our fellow human? If it's wrong to take a life and they did it, then it's wrong to take their life. Well, it's complicated. Why is it so complicated? I watched one of these mini documentary things on this young kid who all of a sudden, out of nowhere, got a gun and shot his sister, killed her. And he wasn't acting like himself. He was like speaking like this monotone, detached way. And then in the interview, when they left him alone, he was talking to himself. Clearly, something going on in his head. And his parents said that wasn't him. Whoever that was that attacked and killed her, that wasn't him. He wasn't there. Thought that's an interesting way to look at it, because perhaps, in a way, it wasn't. Something went wrong in his brain. That's scary. Because goodness knows what is or isn't in our brain right now that could go wrong, that could make any of us do whatever. But here we have two powers who have militaries, who have organizations, and one side said, let's go kill the others. Let's go kill a bunch of them. We know that they're going to attack back, and that's exactly what we want to happen. We want them to attack us, and we want to make them keep attacking us for as long as possible, because that will make us look like the victim. That will get people on our side. That's a good strategy, right? Yeah. Well, that's what's happening to some degree. Is it genocide, though? No, I don't know. I can't say yes. I can't say no. Applying logic to these sort of situations, I find to be difficult. And I suspect that you all have feelings about the Israel and Hamas and Ukraine and Russia and all these things that are going on in the world. And we're working with a limited data set of information that comes our way. We're working with very little information. And goodness knows if the information we have is accurate, or how accurate it is, or if we can trust anything at any level. How skeptical should we be? Well, there's a war going on, right? At least we know that. That's what they tell us. Yeah, you could be skeptical of the whole thing, but maybe that's too far. You got to be careful that you don't go too far, that you start believing things the other way. That is to say, you're not being skeptical when you gain a belief. And in order to believe that they were lying about I just saw a deconverted woman in chat, so my brain turned off there for a moment. In order, well, that's the end of that sentence, whatever that was going to be. So, at any rate, so this is me thinking out loud more than anything else. I don't know if this is of any interest to anybody. You have your own views, and let me know what they are. And if I've done a logical analysis on this properly or not, or what you think of it. Um, and there's a deconverted woman, and I have to find out about that now. And that's I don't I that's my quest now, is to find out what that is. So that's the end of this video. Just good night, I guess. Yep. Yep. My brain's gone. That's it. I'm done. I got that. Yeah. Stop killing other people. There you go. There's a good ending.